So let's look at what is the intelligent alignment for TKR. And before I say that, I think what is intelligence? I think intelligence is our ability to change. And have we changed? Yes, we have. We started talking about mechanical alignment, anatomical alignment, kinematic, constitutional, adjacent mechanical alignment, restricted kinematic alignment. And today, I think we are in the era of intelligent alignment. And what is intelligent alignment? I think intelligence is an experience. We all have some experience. It's objectivity. It's understanding something in depth. And then I think in today's paradigm, it is being able to use technology. And that is why all of you are here. So I think the era has come to talk about what's called as an intelligent alignment. This is the thing with technology. Sometimes it just stops working and it's not deliberate. Yeah. So what has prompted this change? It is the fact that we know that not all patient pathology are same. We have listened about it since morning. We know that not all patient expectations are the same. And no matter what we say or we do, we'll have evidence either ways on this side. So the registry has shown that not matter what philosophy you have chosen, they are equally good or equally bad. And there will be always evidence for one way or the other. And finally, last but not least, why we are talking about this intelligent alignment is that there is an objectivity today. There is data, and I think data is new oil, and this is something that will grease us all. So what do we know now, or what do at least I know? And I would just put it as caveat, it's dynamic. My understanding keeps changing, and that is why I've put it that it will keep changing. I know today that what I've been taught as 10 years back at KEM, that the gaps are always rectangular, is not true. We know we have been taught to take standard AP lateral X-rays. We plan and execute two-dimensionally, which is perhaps not the right way of looking at things. We plan, execute, and evaluate static things. We take static radiograph and try to extrapolate our understanding to those things. And I think that blending, the experience has taught me that blending objectivity and experience help to win any game, whether it is life, sports, and arthroplasty. So if we blend all that we know today, we'll be a winner. This is just a slide. I am also an arthroscopy surgeon. So I know that this is how the knee looks like. So if you look, this is the medial compartment, this is the lateral compartment. All of us have seen the image. And you will see that the gaps are different when you do a scopy. Medial is not equal to lateral. No matter what. These are normal knees. This is what the scope shows. And I think all of you who have done scopy will know that. The lateral gaps are more when you do a figure of 4. You do, or even if you are doing a supine thing, the gaps are not equal. And we have Dr. Parrott here. His study here has clearly showed that the way gap opens in flexion extension is different. So you'll see that the lateral gap is opening more than the medial gap. And that is perhaps the key. So what is intelligent alignment? What am I talking about? I think it's really simple and it's really common sense. You marry biology with laws of biomechanics. So how do you do that? It is understand that there is one goal, to balance forces all across the joint. Understand that the ways to achieve may be different for different people. It is dynamic. And so it is like hitting a moving target. We had a brilliant talk with Dr. Mohan Desai where he showed that picture, and I'll repeat that. And I think the experience and talent may make people a sharpshooter, but the era has come to change that, because the warfare is all precision guided now. We don't need sharpshooters. Gone are the eras where we used to 1960s, 70s, where people had celebrity sharpshooters. Today, it is all about missiles. It's all about Ukraine, Russia war. We'll see everything is guided. And I think that has changed. So as I said, this is the slide that we have shown in morning. But I'll just say that we are trying to hit a moving target. And that is what Dr. Rajesh Malhotra also said. It's not same. We are hitting a moving target. So how do we do? How do I do it? And I think, as I said, my understanding is evolving. I set negotiable and non-negotiable terms and exploit this negotiability in 6 degrees of freedom of component positioning and 6 degrees of freedom of translation of component, and use technology to hit a moving target. Even for sharpshooters, to hit a moving target is a task. When you have technology, you can hit it at precision. And despite all that configuration that you have available, if you hit in the top 10, you are a winner. So basic slide, what can we do for both femur and tibia? We can dial in varus, valgus, rotations, flexion, extension. Similarly, we can move a component towards joint, away from the joint, shift it anteriorly, shift it posteriorly, translate medially, translate laterally. And I think the experience of a joint replacement surgeon is basically this, and releases. the soft tissue component and the ability to do it. What makes a surgeon is ability to just do it and sometimes do it intuitively. But not all of us will do it intuitively. And today, that's the reason that we have, when you can have 1,000 combinations and you can achieve what you want. Once again, remember that the goal is to balance force or across all the joint and not to stray away from the biomechanics largely. So how do I do? These are my non-negotiable. And I said it will be different for different people. We have Stephen Howell coming in tomorrow. He'll talk about unrestricted kinematic alignment. But for me, this is sacrosanct. My alignment philosophy is I will not have overall alignment beyond 5 degree and 2 degree of valgus. I would want lateral side to be 2 millimeter lax compared to the medial side. Gaps, I will be patient specific again. For a large male patient, I would want slight loose in extension in TKR and slight loose in flexion for UKR. I don't want any notching. I don't want any overhangs of femur and tibia. And I would want joint line to be preserved. These are my non-negotiable terms. But it also gives me a lot of leeway because I can negotiate with the femur positioning in anterior-posterior. Experienced surgeon do it all time, but objectivity to that. I can dial in rotation 2 degree more, 2 degree less. I can dial in varus valgus to my component. I can change my slope. Of course, this is component specific. And I can also change the implant size, one size up and down. If I do that and achieve what I want, I'll be okay. So a typical day, if I have this, the first column, I've got a good alignment. I've got a good balance. I've got good component positioning, and I did a minimal release. And all of this is today possible with robotics because there's an objectivity and, of course, experience also. I will not discount experience, but what robotics does is gives you objectivity at a very early stage of your life to do that. I'm still happy if I get 2 to 5 degree varus, 0 to 2 degree valgus, and slight mismatch in mediolateral flexion extension with an acceptable position of component and a moderate release. But I'm really unhappy in today's world if someone does this. If he's in this thing, I think either he's not experienced or he's not using technology rightly. So try to be in the first column, if not second column. And I think some case example, and you'll see it live when I do the surgery. This is a standard varus knee, and you'll see this is after the stress fuse. Okay, so this is the gaps that this computer shows, and you will see this in more detail. So everything orange is medial, violet is lateral. Anything below the line is tightness, anything above the line is looseness. You have to just get it balanced. So if you start thinking for a few minutes, you will be able to juggle these 6 screens that you'll see, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 2 screens on sagittal view for the slope, and you should be able to do it. And as I said, time is less, so you'll see how I've done. I've changed the varus in the femur. We saw Dr. Rajgopal dwelling in some things from his own philosophy, same for all patients. I personally believe different for all patients, and the data there will guide you which patient to dial in varus, which patient to dial in valgus, which patient to increase rotation, which patient to increase slope. So this is how we did. So you see that with time, we could do and balance the things, and you will see that the post-op thing is here. Again, a similar case, you'll see how I'm doing it. This is a live video. You'll see this is the warm-up screen. This is robotics, and you will see again live all these things that we do. So this is the gross adjustment screen. I'm doing it before I'm doing my stress range of motions. Once I've done, I'm doing stress range of motion, and you'll see how it is. Again, orange is medial tightness without stress. Then you'll see with stress how it is. You put a spoon, or you can do it manually, distraction, or give a varus valgus fold. And ironically, when you put the spoon in the middle compartment, sometimes the lateral compartment opens up because it's also distracting the joint. That's the natural way. That's naturally how it behaves. So this is how a stress range of movement is. You'll see that different varus valgus will give you a different curve. So remember that you will just see this. So again, I'm giving a proper varus stress, so the lateral opening is happening here. And sometimes tracker may lose. So you'll see that lateral side is quite loose in extension, or more or less loose throughout. But this is the graph that we got. So you can, if you take a pause at this moment, you will know there is a lot of medial tightness, a lot of lateral laxity, more in extension than flexion. And you'll see how I'm balancing all these screens. So with the depth of the cut, with varus, with rotations, you'll see all that thing happening in few minutes, and you'll see how we'll do it. So remember that there are 6 degrees of freedom and 6 degrees of translations available to you for both femur and tibia, and the permutation combination is nearly 1,000. Achieved to be in top 10. And you see how we are doing it now. So here I'm changing the distal femoral cut. So all the thing, the looseness. So remember one thing, how I do it is that balance one side first. So out of 4 things, balance one side. For me, it is flexion lateral, flexion normal side. So if I'm doing a Varasni, I will balance the flexion lateral side to get it to 0. I will not bother about the tightness on the medial side because that will automatically get released once the cuts are taken. And if there is any residual tightness left, you can do a fine tuning of the release. Okay, so I have balanced that there, and then it's just pretty much execution. So as I said, there are many case examples, but we'll have a live surgery and we can have a live discussion about it. But the whole idea is to kind of understand that with limited release and negotiating your component positioning and alignment, you can achieve with that your correct balance. And the order should be balance, alignment, and positioning. With robotics, we talked about this. I think for most of my Varasnis, I used to be here with skills, experience, and planning. But today, with technology, I think I'm much more to this moving target of the bullseye. In conclusion, I would just like to say the idea behind this is to avoid extensive ligament release, know where we want to go. Targets are not the same for everyone. We have to learn the art and science of negotiable and non-negotiable. Of course, robotics adds an element of execution to it also compared to navigation. So the accurate, once you have dialed in all the parameters that you want it to be executed also flawlessly without any your saw skiving or diving. So all of those things get eliminated when the execution is there. And last but not least, enjoy technology and master it. If you don't master the technology will master you. So don't be a slave to technology, but if you allow it to become the master, it will. And the day is not far. We all will be slaves. Thank you. Thank you, everyone.